Jesus spoke two words that hold the entire secret of spiritual power. Not a prayer, not a request, not a hope. Just two words. I am. Most people rush past this statement thinking it's just a name. But Joel Goldsmith discovered something that changes everything. When you truly understand why Jesus said I am, you unlock a consciousness that dissolves problems without effort. The mystery isn't in the words themselves. It's in the consciousness behind them. When Jesus said I am, he wasn't identifying with a body or a personality. He was declaring the presence of God as his only identity. This wasn't philosophy. This was the ultimate healing principle that transformed water into wine and raised the dead through pure consciousness. You've been taught to seek God outside yourself, to pray to something distant, to beg for what you need. But the I am reveals a truth that shatters every limitation. God isn't something you reach for. God is the very I that you are. When you grasp this, everything in your life begins to shift. Not because you're doing more, but because you're understanding what has always been true. Joel Goldsmith spent decades discovering what Jesus really meant. He found that I am isn't a statement about your human self. It's not about your personality, your history, or your circumstances. The I am is the infinite presence expressing as you right now. When you say I am with spiritual awareness, you're not speaking as a limited person. You're speaking as consciousness itself. Think about how you use these words daily. I am sick, I am broke, I am afraid. Every time you attach I am to a condition, you're giving power to illusion. You're identifying the infinite with the finite. You're claiming that God, the I of your being, is limited by circumstances. This is the root of all suffering. Not what happens to you, but what you claim I am is. Jesus never said I am sick or I am lacking. He said I am the resurrection. I am the light. I am the way. He was identifying with the infinite, not the condition. When you begin to use I am only with truth, with what is eternal and unchanging, your entire experience begins to mirror that consciousness. This isn't positive thinking. This is spiritual law. Here's what Joel discovered that few teachers reveal. The I am isn't something you create or develop. It already is. You don't become the I am through practice or achievement. You simply stop identifying with what you are not. Every problem in your life exists because you've forgotten that the I that you are is God expressing. Not will be. Not can become. Yes, when you're facing illness, the temptation is to say, I am sick and I need healing. But the moment you claim I am sick, you've denied the truth of your being. The I that you are cannot be sick because that I is infinite spirit. The body may show symptoms, yes, but that's not the I. The I am is perfect, whole, complete. When you rest in this knowing, healing happens naturally. The same applies to every area of life. Not I am poor and need supply, but I am the infinite abundance of God made visible. Not I am alone and need love, but I am the presence of love itself. This isn't denial of circumstances. This is recognition of what lies beneath all circumstances. The eternal I that is your true identity, unchanged by any condition that appears in the world of form. Most spiritual teachings give you something to do. Visualize, affirm, manifest. But Jesus revealed something far more powerful. He revealed a state of being. I am is not an action. It's a recognition. When you truly understand this, you stop trying to get things from God and start realizing that God is already the substance of your being, expressing as your experience. This is why Joel taught that healing isn't about changing conditions. It's about changing identity. When you know yourself as the I am, the infinite presence, conditions have no choice but to align with that truth. You don't heal the body. You recognize that the I of your being was never sick. You don't create abundance. You recognize that the I am is infinite supply. Here's the transformation that happens when this understanding deepens. You stop living from the level of effect. You stop reacting to appearances. You rest in the I am, and from that resting place, every need is met, every problem dissolves, every fear vanishes. Not through struggle, but through spiritual recognition. This is the secret Jesus lived. This is what Joel spent his life teaching. Let me share what happened to a woman named Margaret who attended Joel's classes in the 1950s. She'd suffered with chronic pain for 7 years. Doctors found nothing wrong. She'd tried every treatment, every therapy, every healing method available. Nothing worked. She came to Joel desperate, exhausted, and ready to give up hope entirely. Joel didn't pray for her. He didn't treat her condition. He simply asked her one question: "Who is the I that says I am in pain?" Margaret was confused at first. She said, "I am. I'm the one suffering." But Joel pressed deeper. "Is the I am you speak of capable of pain? Can infinite spirit hurt? Can God suffer?" She sat in silence for nearly 20 minutes. Then something shifted in her consciousness. She realized she'd been identifying her true self, the I am, with a body and its sensations. The pain didn't belong to the I that she was. It belonged to a false sense of identity. Within 3 weeks, the pain began to diminish. Within 2 months, it was completely gone. Not because she fought it, but because she stopped claiming it as her identity. A businessman named Robert used this same principle with his failing company. He was on the edge of bankruptcy, drowning in debt, watching everything he'd built crumble. Every morning he'd wake up thinking, "I am failing, I am losing everything." His prayers were desperate pleas for God to save his business, to send customers, to provide a miracle from outside himself. Then Robert heard Joel speak about the I am. He realized he'd been claiming lack as his identity. He'd been saying, "I am broke," instead of recognizing that the I of his being is infinite supply. He began a daily practice. Every morning before looking at numbers or emails, he'd sit quietly and recognize, "I am is the abundance of God. I am is infinite resource. I am is divine intelligence expressing." It took 4 months, not 4 days. But slowly, ideas came. Connections appeared. Opportunities opened that had been invisible before. His business didn't just survive. It transformed into something more aligned with his true purpose. The change wasn't in his circumstances first. It was in his consciousness. When he stopped identifying with lack, abundance had space to flow through him naturally. Joel worked with a mother whose son was addicted to drugs. She'd prayed for years. She'd begged God to change her son. She'd tried intervention, therapy, tough love, enabling, everything. Nothing worked. Her son kept using, kept disappearing, kept breaking her heart. She came to Joel exhausted, guilt-ridden, desperate for someone to fix her child. Joel told her something that shocked her. "Stop praying for your son to change. Stop seeing him as an addict. Stop identifying him with his condition. Instead, recognize the truth. Your son's real identity is I am, the presence of God. That presence cannot be addicted. That presence is whole, free, and perfect right now. See only that truth, regardless of what appears." She practiced this for 6 months. Some days her son seemed worse. But she held to the truth of his being, not the appearance of his behavior. She stopped mothering the addiction and started recognizing the Christ. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, something shifted in him. He entered treatment on his own. He stayed. Today, years later, he's free. Not because she changed him, but because she stopped empowering the false identity. These stories aren't exceptions. They're examples of spiritual law in action. When you stop identifying with conditions and start identifying with the I am, your true nature, reality must conform to that recognition. This isn't magic. This isn't wishful thinking. This is how consciousness works. What you claim as your identity becomes your experience. Joel taught that the great barrier to healing and transformation is personal sense. The belief that you are a separate person with personal problems needing personal solutions. But the I am has no personal problems. The I am is infinite, perfect, whole. When you rest in that identity, even for moments, the personal sense with all its troubles begins to dissolve. Here's the practice Joel gave his students. Throughout your day, whenever fear or lack or pain appears, pause. Ask yourself, who is experiencing this? Is it the I am, or is it the false sense of personal self? Then gently return to the truth. I am is the presence of God. I am is whole. I am is supplied. Don't fight the condition. Simply withdraw your identification from it. If these transformation stories inspire you and you're beginning to see the power of true identity, like this video to help others discover these teachings, subscribe for more. Joel Goldsmith Wisdom, and comment. Which story of consciousness transformation resonated most deeply with your own spiritual journey? Now let's go deeper into how you actually live from this consciousness. Understanding I am intellectually doesn't transform your life. You must practice it until it becomes your natural state of being. Joel called this practicing the presence. Not thinking about God, not praying to God, but recognizing that the I of your being is God, right here, right now, in this moment. Start with the smallest moments. When you wake up, before your mind fills with problems and tasks, recognize, I am awake. Not a person waking to face another difficult day, but I am, infinite consciousness, expressing as this experience. When you eat, recognize, I am sustained by infinite substance. When you work, recognize, I am is the intelligence accomplishing this task. This isn't affirmation. Affirmations try to make something true. This is recognition of what already is true. The difference is profound. Affirmations come from lack, trying to create what you don't have. Recognition comes from wholeness, acknowledging what has always been present. One struggles, the other rests. One seeks, the other realizes. Joel taught a specific technique for moments of crisis or intense challenge. He called it the pause. When fear grips you, when pain overwhelms you, when circumstances seem impossible, you pause everything. You don't react. You don't try to solve. You don't panic. You pause and return to the I am. This simple act interrupts the false identity and opens space for truth. In the pause, you ask, what is the truth of my being right now? Not what appears, but what is eternally true. The truth is always the same. I am is the presence of God, untouched by any condition. I am is whole. I am is supplied. I am is safe. Not because circumstances prove it, but because this is the nature of infinite being expressing as you. A woman used this during a medical crisis. Her doctor found a mass and scheduled immediate surgery. Terror consumed her, but she remembered the pause. Every time fear arose, she stopped. She didn't deny the situation or fight the fear. She simply returned to truth. I am is perfect life. I am cannot be threatened. By the time of her pre-surgery scan, the mass had vanished completely. Another powerful practice Joel taught is releasing judgment. Every time you judge yourself or others, you're operating from personal sense, not I am consciousness. The I am doesn't judge because the I am recognizes only itself in all. When you see someone struggling, you're not seeing their true identity. You're seeing a false sense of separation appearing as a person with problems. This doesn't mean ignoring behavior or boundaries. It means seeing beyond the appearance to the truth. When someone wrongs you, the human reaction is anger, hurt, judgment. But from I am consciousness, you recognize this person's true identity is also I am, the presence of God. They've forgotten, just as you've forgotten at times. This recognition doesn't condone wrong action. It heals the consciousness behind it. Practice this with yourself first. When you fail, when you make mistakes, when you fall short of your ideals, stop the self-judgment. That judgment is personal sense attacking personal sense. Instead, return to truth. The I that you are never failed because the I am is perfect. The mistake happened in the dream of personal identity. Wake up to your real self and begin again from wholeness. The third essential practice is what Joel called impersonal supply. You've been taught that supply comes from jobs, people, investments, sources outside yourself. This creates fear. What if the source dries up? What if you lose the job? What if the person leaves? But when you understand that I am is infinite supply, you realize source is never outside you. Your employer isn't your source. Your clients aren't your source. Your investments aren't your source. I am is your source, and that source is infinite, never-ending, always flowing. The channels may change. One job may end and another begin. One stream of income may dry up while 3 others open. But the source, The I am never diminishes, never fails, never runs out. Live from this knowing. When you pay bills, recognize I am is infinite supply making itself visible. When you work, recognize I am is the substance of my abundance. When you give, recognize I am gives from infinite fullness, not from personal limitation. This consciousness attracts supply through unexpected channels, synchronistic opportunities, and ways you could never have planned or manipulated into being. But let's be honest about the challenges. Knowing this truth and living it consistently are different things. You'll have moments where you forget completely, where fear overwhelms the truth, where circumstances seem so real, so pressing, so urgent that I am consciousness feels like fantasy. Joel experienced this too. Every spiritual teacher has. This is normal. This is part of the journey. The first challenge is when nothing seems to change. You practice, you recognize, you identify as I am, and your circumstances remain the same. The illness continues. The lack persists. The problem doesn't dissolve. Your mind screams, this doesn't work. You're fooling yourself. You need to take action, to do something, to fix it the old way through human effort and struggle. Joel's answer was simple but not easy. Spiritual realization works in consciousness first, not in conditions. Sometimes the inner shift happens quickly and outer change follows immediately. Sometimes the inner work takes weeks or months of consistent practice before you see evidence in the physical. Your job isn't to make things happen. Your job is to know the truth and remain faithful to it, regardless of appearances. The second challenge is other people's reactions. When you start living from I am consciousness, you become different. You stop complaining. You stop participating in fear-based conversations. You stop agreeing that circumstances are terrible and hopeless. Some people will think you're in denial. Others will think you've joined a cult. Some will actively try to pull you back into agreement with limitation. A man in Joel's classes lost friends when he stopped engaging in their constant complaints about money, health, and politics. They thought he didn't care. They accused him of being cold, disconnected, superior. But he wasn't judging them. He simply couldn't participate in claiming lack and limitation as truth anymore. He had to choose, comfort of agreement or integrity of consciousness. This is your choice too. You cannot live in two worlds. You cannot claim I am is infinite abundance in meditation, and then spend your day agreeing with everyone that times are hard and money is scarce. You cannot recognize I am is perfect health in prayer, and then spend hours discussing symptoms and diseases. Choose your consciousness carefully, because it's choosing your experience. The third challenge is impatience. You want transformation now. You want healing today. You want abundance this week. But consciousness unfolds at its own pace. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. The invisible work happens first. Roots go deep before the shoot appears above ground. Your consistent practice is the root work. Trust that something is happening even when you see no evidence. Joel worked with a man whose business was failing for 2 years. He practiced I am consciousness every day. Some months seemed better, then worse again. He was tempted to give up the practice and return to human struggle and manipulation, but something kept him faithful. In the 3rd year, everything shifted, not gradually but suddenly. Opportunities exploded, money flowed, the business tripled. Later he understood why. The first 2 years were preparing his consciousness. He was learning to truly rest in I am, instead of anxiously trying to make things happen from personal effort. When his consciousness was finally clear, when he truly knew himself as infinite supply, the outer world had no choice but to mirror that knowing. The delay wasn't punishment. It was preparation for a blessing his old consciousness couldn't have sustained. The fourth challenge is mixing practices. You try I am consciousness for a week. Nothing happens fast enough, so you add visualization techniques, then affirmations, then manifestation rituals. Then you ask others to pray for you. You mix truth with methods that operate from lack. This creates confusion in consciousness. You're saying I am is complete while simultaneously acting like you need something outside yourself. Joel was firm about this. You cannot serve two masters. Either I am is your sufficiency or it isn't. Either God is the substance of your being or you need to manipulate conditions. Either you trust spiritual identity or you trust human effort. Mixing the two cancels both. Choose one path and commit to it completely, especially when fear screams at you to hedge your bets. Here's how to navigate these challenges. First, give yourself grace. You're unlearning lifetimes of false identity. Second, return to truth without guilt when you forget. Third, find even one person who understands this consciousness. Joel's students supported each other through doubt. Fourth, measure progress by your inner peace, not outer conditions. Peace in the midst of challenge proves consciousness is shifting. If these insights about overcoming consciousness challenges speak to your heart and you're ready to commit to this path, like this video to support authentic spiritual teaching, subscribe for advanced practices in Joel Goldsmith wisdom, and comment. Which challenge are you facing right now and ready to transform through I Am consciousness? Let's explore advanced applications of I Am consciousness in specific life areas. First, relationships. Most relationship problems come from seeking completion in another person. You feel incomplete, so you look for someone to fill the emptiness. You feel unloved, so you need someone to love you. But this places impossible demands on human relationships and guarantees disappointment. When you recognize I Am is infinite love, the nature of your being, everything changes. You're not seeking love. You're expressing the love you are. You don't need completion from another. You're already whole. Relationships become sharing of wholeness rather than trading of neediness. This doesn't mean you don't desire partnership. It means you desire it from fullness, not from lack. A woman practiced this after 3 failed marriages. She stopped looking for someone to make her happy and started recognizing I Am is infinite love and joy. For a year, she focused only on knowing herself as complete. Then she met someone. But this relationship was different. No desperation, no clinging, no fear of loss. Just 2 whole people choosing to share life. That marriage is thriving 20 years later because it's built on truth, not need. Second, health. Medical treatment has its place, but I Am consciousness reveals something deeper. Your body isn't your identity. The I Am you are is pure spirit, perfect life, incapable of disease. This doesn't mean denying symptoms or refusing care. It means not identifying with the condition. You have a body showing symptoms. You are not those symptoms. The I that you are is eternally whole. Joel healed himself of tuberculosis through this understanding. Doctors said he had months to live, but he refused to claim the disease as his identity. He didn't fight it or fear it. He simply rested in the knowing, I Am is perfect life. The disease has nothing to do with my true identity. His body healed completely, and he lived decades beyond the doctor's prognosis, teaching this principle to thousands. Practice this with any health challenge. Don't say I am sick. Say the body is showing symptoms, but I Am is whole. Don't identify with the diagnosis. Recognize that diagnosis describes a condition in matter, but your true self is spirit, untouched by material conditions. Work with doctors, take medicine if needed, but know these are aids for the body. Your real healing comes from recognizing what you truly are. Third, your work and purpose. Most people see their job as how they survive. They trade time and energy for money. They endure work they hate because they need income. But I Am consciousness transforms work from survival into expression. The work you do becomes how infinite intelligence and creativity flow into visible form. Not work you must do, but work you're designed to do. When you recognize I Am is infinite intelligence, you stop forcing. You stop trying to figure everything out through limited human thinking. You pause, you recognize the I Am, and you allow ideas to flow from that infinite source. The right work finds you. The right opportunities appear. The right people cross your path, not through networking and manipulation, but through spiritual alignment. A teacher felt trapped in her job for 15 years. She knew she was meant for something else, but couldn't see what or how. She began practicing I Am consciousness. She stopped trying to plan her escape and started recognizing, I Am is divine intelligence knowing exactly what I'm here to express. Within 6 months, an opportunity appeared that was perfect. She transitioned naturally into work that fed her soul and doubled her income. Fourth, dealing with enemies or difficult people. Jesus said, love your enemies. Most think that's impossible or naive. But from I am consciousness, it makes perfect sense. The person attacking you isn't your enemy. They're the infinite I am who has forgotten their identity. When you see past their behavior to their true nature, you're not condoning wrong action. You're recognizing reality beneath appearance. This is practical, not sentimental. A man had a business partner who betrayed him, stole clients, spread lies. Human reaction is revenge, anger, hatred. But this man practiced I am consciousness. He didn't pretend the betrayal didn't hurt. But he refused to see his partner as an enemy. He recognized, this person's true identity is I am, just confused and operating from fear right now. The result was astonishing. As he held this consciousness, refusing to engage in hatred or revenge, something shifted. His former partner's schemes began to fail. The lies were exposed without the man saying a word. Within a year, the partner reached out and apologized, making full restitution. Not because the man manipulated or planned it, because consciousness operating from truth is more powerful than all human scheming operating from falsehood. Now we're ready for the ultimate integration. Living as I am isn't something you do during meditation or when problems arise. It becomes your constant state. You wake as I am. You walk as I am. You work as I am. You love as I am. You rest as I am. Every experience becomes the infinite expressing in finite form. You're no longer a person trying to be spiritual. You're spirit appearing as person. This doesn't make you perfect in behavior. You'll still make mistakes, still have preferences, still experience the full range of human emotion. But underneath it all, you know what you are. A wave still looks like a wave, moves like a wave, has its unique shape. But it never forgets its ocean. You're the wave that knows itself as the infinite sea, expressing in this particular form. Joel lived this way. People around him felt something different. Not superiority or detachment, but presence. When he entered a room, consciousness shifted. When he spoke, people's problems often dissolved without him directly addressing them. Why? Because he lived so consistently from I am consciousness that it radiated from him, lifting everyone near him into that same recognition without words. You can live this way too, not by trying to be like Joel, not by imitating his words or methods, but by practicing what he taught until the I am becomes your living reality. Start today, right now. Whatever you're facing, whatever challenge or fear or need is pressing on you, pause. Stop trying to solve it humanly. Stop seeing yourself as a person with a problem. Return to truth. Recognize, I am is the only presence and power. I am is whole. I am is supplied. I am is safe. I am is loved. Not because conditions prove it, but because this is the eternal nature of being. You're not trying to become this. You're recognizing what you already are. This recognition isn't escape from reality. This recognition is reality. Everything else is the dream of separation appearing temporarily in consciousness. As this becomes your foundation, watch what happens. Not overnight, not magically, but steadily, consistently, powerfully. Problems that seemed impossible begin to dissolve. Needs you struggled to meet begin to be fulfilled through unexpected channels. Relationships that were painful begin to heal or gracefully end. Health that was failing begins to restore. Not because you made it happen, because you stopped blocking it with false identity. Joel Goldsmith left you an incredible gift. Not a religion, not a set of rules, not a system to follow perfectly. He left you the key to the kingdom that Jesus taught. That key is recognizing what the words I am truly mean. When Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life, he wasn't claiming something special for himself alone. He was revealing what every human being truly is beneath the costume of personality. You are not your name. You are not your history. You are not your circumstances. You are not your body, your bank account, your relationships, your achievements, or your failures. All of these are experiences flowing through consciousness. But the I that is aware of all these experiences The I that existed before any of these conditions appeared and will exist after they all change. That I is God expressing as your individuality. This is why Jesus could heal, could multiply loaves and fishes, could walk on water, could rise from death. Not because he was different from you in essence, because he knew what he was and never forgot it. He lived completely from I am consciousness. And he said, these things you will do also, and greater things. Not might do if you're special. Will do when you understand what you are. This is your invitation and your destiny. So what happens when you truly understand why Jesus said I am? Everything changes. Your problems don't all vanish in one moment. Your life doesn't become perfect tomorrow, but something shifts at the core of your being. You stop living from fear and lack. You stop identifying with conditions. You stop seeking outside yourself for what you already are. You rest in the infinite presence that you've always been. From this resting place, transformation flows naturally. Healing happens without effort. Supply appears without strain. Relationships align without manipulation. Purpose unfolds without forcing. Not because you've gained something new, but because you've remembered something ancient. You've remembered that the I of your being is the I of God, one infinite presence expressing uniquely as you. This is Joel Goldsmith's greatest teaching. This is Jesus's ultimate revelation. This is the secret hidden in plain sight in two simple words that contain all power, all healing, all supply, all love, all life. I am, not will be, not should be, not trying to be. Simply, eternally, completely, I am. Live from this knowing and watch your entire world transform from the inside out. If your understanding of spiritual identity has been transformed forever through these Joel Goldsmith teachings, like this video to help others discover their true nature. Subscribe for more profound consciousness wisdom, and comment, I am, to claim your recognition of the infinite presence you truly are right now.